move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it in at 4. Who's going to be into stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Good evening and welcome to Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the first ever NASCAR iRacing.com Series B-Class. Broadcast here on PSR TV and our affiliates, MRN Radio and Fans Choice TV. I'm Tony Stevens, he's Joe Cortez, and we're glad to have you here at Las Vegas in Sin City. This is the first time this year we've seen either the B-Class or the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series on a 1.5-mile intermediate style track. And Joe, this racetrack, unlike in Atlanta or some of the more seasoned racetracks, the surface is fairly new. What do you think that's going to entail as far as pit strategy and tire wear goes here today?
Racing, you're going to see a lot of aggressive racing out there on the track. You're going to see a lot of drivers taking a lot of risks. It's early in the season. They can still run their drop. So look for these guys to try to run those tires as long as they can for the first pit stop. Until the first pit stop, we should see pit stops around the halfway point in this race, about 50 laps or so. After that, at every caution opportunity, get ready to see some tires flying on pit road.
Well, it's going to be fun, Joe. There's no doubt. Let's throw it up to our colleague in the booth, Tim Terry, who, as always, leads us down the channel and down the maze that is each one of these events on PSR TV. Tim, we're coming. We'll be there in just a second.
Thanks, Tony. And as Joe said, these guys can go 50 to 55 laps, one pit stop race, potentially, with this one. Let's go down our starting grid for this evening's NASCAR iRacing.com Class B Series Open Division. And on the pole, no stranger to a hot lap, it's Kenny Humpy, 31.015. To his outside, it's the number 3 this evening of Justin Bolton.
Blade Witt is in the number 22, and Ryan Lowe is in the number 4 on the outside of row number 2.
Trent Ringler, currently your point leader in the class, will start in P5. To his outside, Stephen Azeni.
Alan Bowes in the number 13 starts 7th, and Joe Slema in the 22 will roll 8th.
Oh, man, he came some close to winning Daytona in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series last week. It's Tyler Laughlin in the 15, Blake Bryant to his outside.
Carl Taylor's in the number 18, the final driver in this field to take time. And then on the outside of row 6 is a former Peak Antifreeze Series champion, Tyler Hudson.
You're going to have to watch this guy. Ryan Luza going to roll off from P13 to his outside, Chad Lawton.
Getting to some more familiar names further back throughout the starting lineup. 15th is the driver from Georgia, Casey Tucker, and Donald Balcom rolls 16th.
Former NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series driver Chad Coleman rolls from 17th to the outside, Dylan Jones.
Shane Doherty is in the 14. He starts in the 19th position. And Kyle McCormick, who had a very quick car earlier in a race here at Vegas, he will start 20th.
Matthew Wright rolls off from 21st to the outside of him. Another driver in the top 10 in points currently. We'll talk points a little bit later. It's Logan Kress.
And final row of starters to make up the 24-car field here at Las Vegas. J.D. Laird and Keith Plaza. And Tim, I know a lot of people are wondering that maybe you're new to this. I thought you said there were 32 cars per field. Well, that's a maximum. Explain briefly how we got this field before we go green.
Anybody that occupies a Class B license on iRacing can sign up for this race. You have to race your way through. As you talked with Otto on fanschoice.tv, they start with the street stocks. They move to the late models, the super late models, all up through the ranks. This is the Xfinity type car. This is a Class B car. And where you split, if it's 32 car fields, whatever number signs up divided by 32, that's how many splits there are. So it looks like we have a 24-car field this evening. 24 times 4 is how many drivers signed up. You can do the math, Tony, a little bit quicker than me. Pace car is in. The 11 of Kenny Humpy going to lead this field to green, and we are underway for 100 laps at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
And very quickly, Humpy on the jump, Tim. He'll get about a 2-car length advantage over Blade Witt and Justin Bolton in the number 3 as they are double file for about second on back. But very quickly, Joe. Looks like most of this field trying to get in line and start to make laps to work their way to that 100-lap mark.
Conservation going to be the name of the game early as they still drew wide for position number 2. Blade Witt on the outside, the 3 of Justin Bolton on the outside of Bolton using that outside lane. But looks like he's going to have the advantage coming to the start-finish line.
One driver I'm watching is Trent Ringler in the number 23 car. He's back here in position number 5 right now, under fire from car number 13 to his inside. That's Alan Bowes. The 23, Tony, has raced here already this week. He is currently your point leader in this Class B Open division. And he's up here with some of these NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series drivers trying to really make a name for himself. I haven't really heard of Trent Ringler before until tonight.
That makes 2 of his, Tim. And, of course, to win this series gives you a real leg up moving up to, say, the Class A Series. And ultimately, the goal is to reach the Pro Series, which is the final stepping stone before you reach the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. And Ringler holding firm right now inside the top 6. Certainly to be the point leader in this series, Joe, you've got to know what you're doing. But to be the point leader in this series is not as simple as go out and race the same guys every week. It's a little more complicated than that.
Well, the field's a whole lot deeper and a whole lot more different than it is with the regular NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series that you see here on FansChoice.tv and iRacing Live and all of our other partners. It's a completely different field. It actually has more of a feel, if you will, of like a national touring series or a regional series you would see in your hometown, which is kind of cool. It gives it a little bit of personal flair as you see everybody out there running for so much more than pride.
And these series are split up by what we call iRating on iRacing. So the higher your iRating is, that's where you're going to fall, Tony. And you build your iRating up by racing in races, finishing in the front of those races, and it just, you can fill in the blanks from there. You keep getting more iRating in the races that you win, per se. This here is the class of the field that we had sign up this evening, and you can see some familiar names, as we mentioned up in front. Kenny Humpy, as we have one car. We're going 3 wide back there. There was one car in the middle, and I'm trying to get a number on that. Chuck Johnson's got one in my ear. It's number 7. Abdallah Balcom nearly bought the farm back here at a corner number 2, and he's in the wall off corner number 4 again.
Yeah, Tim, what we're starting to see already as we complete lap number 5, already the temperatures are up, the handling's starting to come into play, and some of these drivers maybe didn't have quite the practice time that they wanted. However, the biggest thing that they have to worry about is making sure these cars are balanced over the course of a run. And if you take 5 or 10 laps of practice, Joe, it's not going to work out very well for you. We just saw that with Donald Balcom. In fact, he's holding up Dylan Jones, Chad Coleman, Kyle McCormick, J.D. Laird, and others. And, you know, while, yes, the field is split by iRating, primarily the field is also split by times as far as starting grid. It's a very convoluted system they use in iRacing, and the more you are a member of the system, the easier it becomes to understand. So for the average fan, maybe that's watching us on Fans Choice tonight, it's a little complicated, as you said, to explain this, but guess what? Drivers have an idea where they're going to be, and if they know they have a shot to be in these televised races, they're going to come show up, and sometimes they might not have the car they so desired.
Trouble already is number 24 of Keith Plaza in the fence. He's back running on track, but scary moments for him as he's going to run at the tail end of this field for a while. Now trouble with the 23 machine. 23 machine gets into the wall, gets out in front. The flag will stay green as they continue to run, but Trent Ringler already in trouble.
Yeah, he's broke down the back straightaway, Joe. He's limping along into corner number 3, and I was about to say corner number 4 was the calamity corner. It seemed like it really closed up off corner number 4, and it does. But Tony, the 23 was not alone in that. He had a little bit of help getting into the fence there.
For the second time in 2 weeks here on PSR TV, Tyler Laughlin involved in an incident that has possibly race outcome implications. This time not so bad for him. However, he did get into the number 23 machine, and that didn't work out very well for Ringler. So Laughlin, a little bit of damage on the right side, but he's still digging. In fact, right now he's working to try to get by Steve Azenyi. In fact, here comes Ryan Luza trying to break away and also get ahead of him as well. So move Tyler Laughlin up to position number 5 as they work off turn number 2. So Laughlin wasn't intentional, it didn't look like, Joe. It looked like they were just fighting for the same piece of real estate, but Laughlin, again, a little bit of a controversial incident here already in the first 10% of this one.
Well, that's what you're going to have at a race like this. Remember, for a lot of these guys, this is their first television time. This is the first time they get to shine, and the first time they get an opportunity to show what they're made of here on iRacing Live. So they're going to take as full advantage of this as they can, and they're going to do whatever they can to get their cars up front and get their cars moving in the right direction and get that interview at the end of the series. Remember, with the series becoming much more, with it getting much more serious at the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series level, every opportunity to be on TV could be an opportunity to impress a sponsor.
And these could very well be names we're going to be hearing in the future. Steven Azeni made his way through the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, did not make it to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series this season, but he's working his way back there as he is under fire right now by the 5 of Chad Lawton, and Blade Witt in the 20 is going to try to follow him through as well. That's your battle for position number 6 down the back straightaway, as we have a little bit of a battle in front of them as well. Ryan Luza making his way through the field in the 2 car. There's another name, Tony, that we're going to be hearing in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, I'm sure, if not 2016, in the near future. Ryan Luza already making his way up. And we talked about this being race number 3 of 33. There are 5 drop races. We talked about it in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, Tony, but what exactly do we mean when we talk about drop races?
Well, Tim, basically, only so many races score. Now, if you're familiar with NASCAR's home tracks point system, it's kind of similar to that in a way. You have so many races that count, but because of the nature of the iRacing service, essentially, you can run 100 races in a week if you really wanted to. The top 25% of your races count towards your points. So let's say you run 10, or let's back up, let's say you run 8 races. 2 of those races then would count. Say you finish first and second, you would get average of points for first and second, if that makes sense. It's a little complicated again due to the nature of the service, but that happens every single week. So if you have a bad race one night, not a big deal. Turn around, go win a bunch of races. That bad races then drop. Now, as you go throughout the season, again, your worst 5 weeks are dropped. And of course, because these guys have real lives, Joe, it works really well for iRacing and for the NASCAR Class B series here on iRacing, very similar to the Xfinity series, as you see running the same cars. It works really well for these guys because it gives them a chance to get invested, to get in that competitive mindset, but they don't have to dedicate their entire life to this deal like you would, say, in a professional level series. And a lot of the Peak Antifreeze series guys fall into that exact same mindset.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The dedication that those drivers have to the sport is incredible. But the difference, too, is they're also running for $10,000 at the end of the season. These guys, there's no trophy here. There's no big prize at the end of the day. These guys are just running for pride. They're running to have fun out there and maybe, just maybe, get a shot at the big prize somewhere down the line. As Kenny Humpy now getting a little company as Justin Bolton's caught up to him. And we could have a battle for first here coming up, guys.
Yeah, he got a little up close and personal with the fence. I don't think he hit it off corner number 4, but he came mighty, mighty close. And it might be Kenny Humpy mirror driving a little bit because Justin Bolton is there in car number 3. Bolton and Humpy, both NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing drivers, and they both know how to get it done on the racetrack. And Tony, we mentioned the A-Class car that is raced with the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. The B Series car, totally different, just like a Cup car compared to an Xfinity car. Justin Bolton spends a lot of time racing these B-Class cars, the C-Class trucks. He knows how these things tick. Justin Bolton has spent a little bit of time here at Las Vegas working on his setup. Wouldn't surprise me if he can get past Kenny Humpy and possibly win this thing tonight.
It's a very real possibility. Bolton was strong here last year in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. But of course, remember, this is a completely different race car than what we're used to. That battle up front is a dandy, but while we keep an eye on that, further back in the field, Blade Witt, Joe Slamma, Blake Bryant, Tyler Hudson, a whole group of cars right here. It's a 5-car pack working their way through turns 1 and 2. Great battle right at the back of the top 10, Joe.
Great battle as the 22 continues to stay high. The 12 is going to join him down low. It's going to be the 20 of Blade Witt. He's going to be all by himself as they go into turns 3 and 4. The one of Tyler Hudson playing both lines up there. Uh-oh, the one almost making contact with the 20 scares the 20 of the 20 machine of Blade Witt just a little bit as he's going to ride it down low, and it looks like that's going to end that competition for now. Hey guys, we also got if you're on Twitter, if you're following us on Twitter, be sure to join in the conversation tonight. Our hashtag iRacing Night on Twitter. We're going to be talking about the race all night on Twitter. We already have a question from one of our Twitter fans. A NASCAR fan 170 asks, nice young guns in the field tonight so far. What did the broadcast team think of all the new drivers? Tim, let's start with you.
There's a lot of new drivers and a lot of great talent in this field. Ryan Luza comes to mind when you talk about young talent that's maybe not in that NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing as of yet. And Luza right now battling with T-Law for position number 3 on the racetrack. I like Ryan Luza's chances here this evening. You look at a kid like Steven Azeni. He's going to be one to watch throughout this series and throughout the future when it comes to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series and trying to re-qualify for that series. And you look on back through the field, there's so much talent here, Tony, that we don't see every second Tuesday night with the big series that is going to shine here on the other every second Tuesday nights.
This is why this series fits Fans' Choice so well, I think, as a new partner, Tim, because of the fact that when you watch Fans' Choice and you see a lot of the, say, Tucson Raceway Park had coverage on this past weekend on Fans' Choice. You see guys in late models and street stocks and things that you're really not going to see very often, but they also cover a lot of things dealing with, say, the Modified Tour or the K&N Pro Series, all kinds of different things like that. So you get to see some of these young cats before they move up, and of course you get to see a lot of the veterans, if you will, of various series. Because of the way iRacing works, you see a lot of these upper tier veterans like the Boltons, the Humpys, the Laughlins, the Lawtons, the Hudsons, all those guys. But you get to see the Steve Azenyas. You get to see the Trent Ringlers. You even get to see the J.D. Lairds, the guys that are veterans of this service, as we've got a lead change up front. Speaking of veterans, Bolton goes by Humpy now for the top spot here on lap number 24. 1/4 distance just about already down. But you get to see the whole gamut of talent, Tim. And that's one thing I love about this deal. And very impressed. A lot of these youngsters able to have that I rating to get into the split, have the qualifying times to start up front in a lot of cases, Joe. And they've been impressive so far. We've got a quarter of this race caution-free. And anybody that is a regular on the iRacing service knows sometimes these races, while they are sanctioned and while they have a set of rules governing them, the fact that a lot of times you race with guys you're not used to sometimes makes it a little bit of a calamity on the first few laps. But these guys have been very impressive so far. Everybody in the field, for that matter.
Yeah, a lot of guys out here showing a lot of patience, a lot of intelligence out here as they run very, very cleanly through this race. And as you're absolutely right there, Tony, when you look at the iRacing sim as a whole, running 25 laps clean can sometimes be a challenge. But these guys are doing it really well, and these guys are making it look good out here on the track.
20 car 12, and there's the one of Tyler Hudson, former NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, mixing it up there, the 20 down to the almost to the apron. Blade Witt and Blake Bryant been running side by side here for a little while, Tony, and using up their tires, using up their stuff a little bit here. We talked about pit strategy a little bit earlier on. These guys can go approximately 50 to 55 laps to their pit window. Justin Bolton told me earlier, he's leading this race right now, told me a little bit earlier, he ran a race earlier in the day where the leader, eventual winner, went 52 laps before he came down pit road. So the strategy that I heard from some of these guys, split this race in the middle and try to go 50 to 55, get to your pit window, and then if the cautions fall, that's great. Pit when you can, but try to get to that lap 50 to 55 mark. That was close again between the 12 and the 20. It's like they have magnets between them.
Oh, I'm telling you, Tim. And here's the thing. All it takes is one or two yellows to throw your pit cycle and your pit strategy completely out the window. Because sometimes you'll get 2 or 3 quick yellows. Sometimes you might be able to jockey around using track position to your benefit. And Witt just about got into Brian, as we saw there just over a lap ago, coming off turn number 4. These guys have just been so impressive. And again, these races somewhat resemble a pickup football game or a pickup hockey game you might have in some places. You get a bunch of guys together that are good, that know what they're doing, but sometimes it's a little bit of a hodgepodge. You might not be used to racing these guys, and it takes you a few laps to get used to them. I think that Blade Witt got really used to Blake Bryant right there, but again, very, very harrowing moment, and They did a great job to try to avoid any sort of contact. Speaking of which, Alan Bowes, just in front of them, was intent, looking for 9th on Tyler Hudson. Hudson trying to work the outside of the racetrack, and Bowes, he smells blood down the bottom, but look at Hudson. Gets that momentum off the top of the corner. He's able to power right back by Bowes as they cross the stripe to complete lap number 29.
They are working as hard as they can down there for their position. Hudson in 9th, Alan Bowes 10th, and Alan Bowes made his TV debut last week during the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing race at Daytona. Now you see him again one more time trying to get under the number 1 there of Tyler Hudson, side by side through the turns. Alan Bowes wants it, but he just can't dig it hard enough. Tyler Hudson has a little bit stronger car, but I've got a feeling Alan Bowes is not going to be satisfied with 10th place for very much longer.
Yeah, Bowes continues to work over the number 1 of Tyler Hudson for P9 as they continue to work around this Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Caution free so far. Lap number 31 being worked on the board. Bolton continues to lead this with Humpy in 2nd. But guys, the man on the move is about to make his move for 3rd. Here comes Chad Lawton in the 5. He's on the 2 of Ryan Luza. They start at 13th and 14th. They run 3rd and 4th. But Chad Lawton, Tony, is flying to the front of this field. We've seen it before on Tuesday nights, and he's proven it here again. That 5's got a quick hot rod.
He does have a very quick hot rod, does Chad Lawton. And, you know, that's really no surprise. The experience of a NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series veteran. Lawton, this has always been his MO. If you had to liken him to, say, a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver, very much like a Matt Kenseth. He's fast. He's very calculating. You don't talk a lot about him until it gets further and further towards the end of the race. And then all of a sudden, he's there. And that would be Chad Lawton as he works now for 3rd on Luza, trying to work his way forward. But again, you still have at least 1 pit stop to go as we're about 1/3 of the race complete here at Las Vegas. And Joe, I got a feeling this one might get shuffled up a little bit before it's all said and done.
You know, the cool thing about this, guys, is anybody can join in. Anybody who has a computer, a steering wheel, and a little bit of guts in them, they can go out and they can give themselves a good time on iRacing. And if you're one of those who have not enjoyed the simulator racing or iRacing yet, now is a perfect time to get involved in the season. Use our promo code. You see it there at the bottom of the screen, PR-2015 PSRTV. You buy 1 month of the iRacing sim. We'll give you 2 free. Plus, we'll give you the late model as a free download as well, so you can start having fun and running some laps in these crazy ovals that these guys do. You never know; you might see yourself up here in a few months on the B Series on iRacing Live. iRacing.com. Use our promo code. You see it at the bottom of your screen there. Buy 1 month, get 2 free, and get yourself racing as we get ready to go. As we continue green flag racing here at Las Vegas.
Wait a second. They're to give. Well, I guess we've already got accounts. This doesn't work. But for the new people out there. So they get a brand new late model stock car.
That's
and
correct.
They get to run that car at places like Concord, Lanier.
Right,
it's now closed. USA
Irwindale.
Speedway that's closed. Irwindale. Let's see. You get to run Rockingham. A lot of guys love to run that car at Rockingham.
Yep.
The
inner run at Charlotte that you love.
Yeah, Charlotte. The quarter mile even at Charlotte. Thompson, Oxford. Holy cow. There's a lot of stuff. And that's just the lower tiers when you start. Man, you know what? I haven't run that car in a while. I think once we're done, I'm going to hop on the service and go run a late model race. I'm kind of pumped now.
Hey, Tony, do you remember the last time we ran late models together?
I do, Tim. I still think I beat you.
You were in pit road. I finished all the laps, but that's beyond the point.
Well,
we need another race. We have to focus on this one here first. But of course, every Tuesday night, it's iRacing night here on fanschoice.tv. And next Tuesday night, we head back to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. We stay here, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Daytona was exciting. You're going to see some more excitement here in 1 week time at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. They did the Super Speedway. Now it's down to business at 9 o'clock Eastern coming up in 1 week time. Justin Bolton, Kenny Humpy, top 2. They continue to pull away from the rest of the field, and it looks like Ryan Luza has caught Kenny Humpy a little bit and pulled away from Chad Lawton as well. I thought Humpy would be able to keep the pace that he had set the first few laps. It's either that, Tony, or Bolton's pulled away.
Well, I think it's Humpy simply has fallen out to lunch, Tim. A couple of laps ago, I saw Humpy off turn 4 just about by the farm. Lost the nose, lost all his momentum, and it was a miracle he saved the race car. I think simply the balance has gone away on the Kenny Humpy car. I do not think that Chevy Camaro is going to make it the rest of this distance. I mean, he's, roughly about a quarter of a second a lap off the pace of Justin Bolton right now. I almost think, Joe, that Humpy was bargaining on a race full of short runs, not a race full of long runs. Now, that might still happen later in the evening and play into his hand, but this opening stint right now, this is not good for Kenny Humpy.
This is not a good sign for Kenny Humpy, not in the least. But again, he's a veteran that knows how to win in the iRacing sim, and it might just be getting the tires early. He might just be making an adjustment early when they come in for that pit stop, which we should see here in the next 10 laps or so. It could be a number of things. Remember, these guys have full control of their cars, and they can do whatever they need to do down on pit road in order to continue moving forward.
And some of these drivers are going to be screaming for adjustments when they do head down pit road. We are on lap number 41. So that pit window that we talked about, Tony, going to open in about 10 laps or so for these guys to come down and get adjustments to their race cars, get tires on their race cars. And if you're Kenny Humpy, you're screaming for it right now. Ryan Luza and Chad Lawton have both caught the 11. That is your battle for position number 2 as we work around to complete lap 41.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be a very, very good battle for the second spot. As further back, Tyler Hudson now working his way by Steven Azigny. That's the battle for 8. He will drag Alan Bowes along for the spot. Bowes didn't have it at the stripe, but he will. Whoa, hello, maybe have the preferred lane into turn number 1. So move Bowes now up to position number 9. Azigny back to position number 10 as Azigny tries to strike back. Nothing there, so that one will get sorted out rather quickly as they try to chase down Ryan Lowe in the number 4 Mustang, currently running in the 7th spot. But up front, Joe, that battle for second, guess what? It just heated up. Here goes Chad Lawton from 4th to 2nd. Lawton on a roll. Luza up to 3rd. Kenny Humpy, he has fallen now back to 4th.
Lawton rolled the dice there at Las Vegas, and unfortunately it came up 7s for him. So put Lawton in position number 2, getting past the 2 car of Luza and the 11 of Kenny Humpy. Humpy, though, his roll came up snake eyes as he is still struggling in that number 11 machine out there tonight. He is definitely been crying for adjustments when he comes down to pit road. He needs something to get that car back on track and get that car tightened up once again.
Couple of drivers, it looks like, have missed it completely this evening. Chad Coleman, I believe, has already been on pit road. He currently runs 24th. 1 lap down, 11 car around. Kenny Humpy around in the back straightaway.
Wow.
And he is going to spin to the infield. No caution out on the racetrack. That was your 4th place driver. And Tony, I caught that out of the corner of my eye. What'd you see?
Something very uncharacteristic of Kenny Humpy. Again, that car just lost the nose, it looked like, pushed up in the outside wall in turn number 2. Like we saw him earlier, you get behind those other cars, you lose the air, and that, I think, is exactly what happened to Kenny. It pointed to the infield. He was able to overcorrect it and get it hooked back to the outside. Didn't make contact other than the initial brush of the wall, but due to the fact he slid down to the apron, didn't make any contact, we're still green. That is not what Kenny Humpy wanted to see. He's now half a lap behind the leader, being scored in about the 15th or 16th spot. This race has gone from bad to worse for Kenny Humpy, and I think, Joe, if I'm Kenny Humpy, I make wholesale changes to that car to get it to turn, number 1, and number 2, as soon as I'm in my window, which could be as soon as this lap, I dash to pit road and get those changes, get 4 new tires, and get a full tank of fuel, because Kenny Humpy is just, well, he is dogging it tonight, quite frankly.
Frankly, I'm surprised he did not come down pit road when he made that hard left turn into the infield and almost lost it going through turns 3 and 4. You know that 11 machine has flat spots on the tires, and here he comes. This time he'll come down pit road. He will slow it up just in time, and Kenny Humpy will start the set of green flag pit stops after that mishap he had just a couple laps ago. I was about to say, you know he has flat spots on his tires. You know that front end is vibrating like crazy. If he's got force feedback on his wheel, he is going to feel that all the way through. So now, here comes Humpy as he comes down pit road. The attention of his crew overshoots his stall, and a bad stop just got worse for Kenny Humpy.
Alan Bowes coming down pit road, and he was in a battle, Tony, with Ryan Lowe and Tyler Hudson. Hudson just took position number 6 away from Ryan Lowe, and Alan Bowes was a part of that battle. He decides to come down to the attention of his crew this time by lap number 48, so this is within that window for pit stops. As we have the green flag, Alan Bowes to the attention of his crew, 2 right side tires. We expect that, Tony, to be 4.
Yeah, you're going to take 4 here, no doubt. 50-some laps is going to be a full fuel run. You're going to have to take 12 or 13, 14 seconds to fill the tank. You might as well take 4 tires because simply there's no reason not to. It's free, so to speak, as far as the time goes. Tyler Laughlin is down on pit road as well in the number 51. He'll come to a stop, slide it a little close to the wall. In fact, over the line, he has to back it up, so Laughlin going to have to be a little slower on his stop. Also in is the number 9 machine. That is Steve Azinyi. He is in for service on his Camaro, 4 tires and fuel. Tyler Hudson, the number 1, is down. Wholesale pit stops, most of the field on pit road this lap, Joe.
Tyler Hudson will lead them down in the 1 machine. It looks like it's going to be a number of cars coming in as well. Blade Witt, the 20. Carl Taylor, the 18, coming down pit road. Casey Tucker, the 6. Logan Kress, the 19. Keith Plaza, the 24th. Justin Bolton now will take the number 3 Camaro down pit road this time by. And you know they're all looking for the exact same thing. 4 tires, a full tank of virtual Sunoco fuel, and get down and away as fast as they can.
Bolton down on pit road at the halfway point in this race. 50 laps completed and 50 laps to go at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Bolton will come down to pit stall number 2, and he'll stop in his box and get service on his race car. Ryan Lowe, I believe, stayed out the last time by, but he is now down on pit road, and he'll pull in just a stall behind Justin Bolton in the number 4 car. 4 tires for the 3. Bolton will be down and away momentarily.
Service complete on his Chevrolet, the Ford Brigade, the number 4 of Ryan Lowe. They're finishing up service on his car. He was scored in 2nd the last time by. Now, as scoring refreshes, we do anticipate Justin Bolton will be the leader. We'll wait to see where everybody else shuffles out in the running order. But this race, again, very impressive, Joe. Again, due to the nature of the Class B Series, how these fields are set, sometimes it's a little bit of a potluck as far as who's in which race. Or at least who signs up for which race. You kind of know who you're going to race against, but you don't necessarily know who's going to be in your race. As up front, looking at the scoring as they stand, Donald Balcom is being scored the leader in the number 7. Looks like he has yet to come to pit road. As he works off turn number 4, that's going to change, Joe, and the number 7 now down to the attention of his crew.
So now we are back to where we were before we have these pit stops. It will be Justin Bolton, your leader, Chad Lawton in 2nd, Ryan Luza in 3rd, Tyler Laughlin in 4th, and Alan Bowes rounding out your top 5. Joe Slam, Matt Wright, Stephen Azenni, Tyler Hudson, and Blade Witt rounding out your top 10. Very interesting hearing all these different names in the top 5. Over half of them are newer guys we haven't seen here on iRacing Live, or are guys that have been running the Class B. So you really see a total variance of talent up here, which isn't a bad thing. This is really what makes iRacing so exciting and an exciting place to be.
This time by, Bolton's going to be scored as the leader in car number 3, but I think the one team that really nailed it, Tony, is Chad Lawton, because he is 1.5 seconds now behind Justin Bolton. Ryan Luza is about 2.9 seconds behind your leader. It's either Lawton's team nailed it or Ryan Luza's completely missed it, because they were nose to tail, and now there's 1.3 seconds between your 2nd and 3rd place driver. And we talked about Chad Lawton in the early stages of that first run coming to the front. Not saying that Bolton needs to shake in his boots yet, but Chad Lawton is knocking off some time here in these early laps.
My thoughts exactly, Tim. You look at the difference between Bolton and Luza, it's about where it was before, about 3 seconds. So leads me to believe that Chad Lawton did one of 2 things. Number 1, nailed the entry and exit to pit road. Or number 2, his crew nailed the stop. Or number 3, both of those happened. Either way, Lawton much closer than anybody has been ever since Kenny Humpy slid back out of touch from Justin Bolton. So Chad Lawton could be one of the dark horses here. And as we said earlier, I kind of liken him to Matt Kenseth. You don't talk a lot about him until it comes time to pay. And then all of a sudden, where did he come from? Chad Lawton, the veteran, very quiet, very calculating, and here he is now up to second, running comparable lap times to Justin Bolton, and he was closing on him later in that first run. Makes you wonder if they made changes to either one of those cars, or if that same scenario can play out. In fact, Bolton getting ready to experience a little bit of lap traffic. That would be the number 7 of Donald Balcom, the guy who was leading just a little bit ago. He's now in danger of going a lap down.
Taking a look in the box now, you're seeing the battle between the number 9 of Steven Zenzi and the number 1 of Tyler Hudson, and almost trouble for that number 9 machine as he made contact with the 1. He will be forced to go back in line, and now the 17 and 9 going to do a little door banging as they go down the backstretch here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. If you're going to gamble, Vegas is the place to do it, as the 17 and 9 dancing hard now. It'll be the 9 of Zenzi that'll get in front of the number 17 of Matthew Wright. So now they're all going to be content to run in line. I only wonder how long they're going to be content to do that for.
And these guys are 10 seconds or 11 seconds behind your leader, Justin Bolton, right now. And the way this race is going, you really can't bank on a caution unless they race like they just did and you end up being a caution, because that was a close call between the 9 and the 17 cars. But you can't really bank on a caution, Tony. Pick up what you can on the fresh tires and try to gain some positions. If you're Steven Zenzi, trying to get up to Tyler Hudson, make that move. Then you got 2 seconds to catch the next battle on the racetrack, which is Joe Slamma and Alan Bowes. And Bowes trying to reel in the 22 and also the 15 of Teloff in front of him. That would be 4th, 5th, and 6th, just ahead of that battle being led by the 1 of Tyler Hudson.
And Tim, that's what makes it so impressive. Some of these drivers, the runs they're having, is the fact that we have been caution-free thus far. In fact, I know a lot of iRacing regulars are probably watching. Heck, we're sitting up here going, holy cow, there's usually at least a couple of yellows in these deals, and there haven't been any yet. Great battle as well back there with Kenny Humpy, Shane Doherty, Carl Taylor. And while you watch this, a little bit further up front to give you an idea of some of the comers and goers, Kenny Humpy, the 11 in this group, he started on the pole. He now being scored 13th. But up front, Chad Lawton, again, without the 8 of caution, started 14th, is second. Ryan Luza started 13th, is third. And Matthew Wright started 21st, nearly shotgun on the field, and he has cracked the top 10, running in ninth. So a lot of drivers having great runs here at Las Vegas as we close in on the 2/3 mark, Joe.
Well, that's the cool thing about this kind of track, is with a good strategy, with a solid strategy and a solid plan, and no yellow flags, you can adhere to it, and you can really make these cars work in the end, and you can really see what these cars are made of. And you see a lot of drivers doing just that, playing chess at over 180 miles per hour, as it were, here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Pardon me. These guys are driving incredibly well out here, incredibly skillful, incredibly talented out there, and each of these guys doing everything they can to get their car up front. The question, though, is who's going to have the tires at the end of the run. I got a feeling whoever's got the tires is going to have the best shot at winning.
20 car leaning on the 17 a little bit. Blade Witt and Matthew Wright going at it for position number 9 right now, and it appears that Blade Witt will take the spot over Matthew Wright for at least the time being. And we've seen a couple of times here, Tony, this evening that Blade Witt has leaned on a couple of other race cars to try to pick up some position or at least some property around this racetrack to try to make his moves. One thing I want to mention, though, the battle behind them, we mentioned Kenny Humpy. Kenny Humpy has a wide resume when it comes to iRacing. He's won a Landon Castle qualifying challenge. He's won a Daytona 250 for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series before. Won a bunch of pro races. If you want somebody in the race car to get your race car back up to the front, it's Kenny Humpy. The one thing I'm concerned about, though, Tony, is he fell off so hard on that run at the very end. He spun that race car. I'm interested to see what Humpy gains and then what he loses at the end of this run.
I'm in the same boat, Tim. That's one thing that I have as a huge concern right now. You're right on board with Shane Doherty in the 14. Looking back at Kenny Humpy, and you see that car. Of course, remember, Humpy's been to pit road. He was the first car to come down pit lane. But I'm curious what, if any, adjustments they made to that Chevrolet Camaro. And I'm not even sure that Kenny Humpy really knows what to expect, because obviously with that kind of resume, Tim, he's got extensive practice. He knows what his car is going to do, or so he would like to think. But so far it hasn't quite worked out the way that he wanted. So we'll keep an eye on Kenny Humpy and see if, in fact, he can go forward or if he continues to backslide when we get within 10, 15 laps of the end of this one. A little bit further up front inside the top 5, Tyler Laughlin, Joe Slamman. Alan Bowes now has caught this group and made it a trio. Laughlin looking for another solid run here on PSR TV and iRacing Live. Hopefully this one doesn't end in the outside wall on the final couple of laps. That's what Tyler Laughlin's hoping for, and at least right now, it looks to be going very well, Joe.
Certainly going very well. And you mentioned Kenny Humpy. If he's going to make some moves tonight, he's got quite a salmon ladder to climb out there. Take a look at your top 3 right now. They have checked out on this field. Almost 1.5 seconds between Justin Bolton and Chad Lawton. 3 seconds between Justin Bolton and Michael Luza. And the rest of the field, 8 seconds and counting behind your leaders. Your leaders have got an incredible handle on this field. In fact, we have one Twitter follower asking, when does iRacing throw the debris caution to tighten this field? That's how spread out this field is. So if you're not in the top 3 right now, you're almost looking for that debris caution, if you will, or you're almost hoping someone else will mess up before you do in order to tighten up this field and have another shot at trying to get up front. Though I don't know if that's going to be enough to get out front and try to challenge Justin Bolton or Chad Lawton here.
You mentioned those 2 names. We might not tighten the field, but we're going to tighten the lead here, I have a feeling, in about 10 laps or so, or maybe even less, as the field laps J.D. Laird in the 21 car. And there's a name that we've heard before, Tony, on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series broadcast, but really don't see him a whole lot behind the wheel. J.D. Laird, 21, being lapped by the 5 of Chad Lawton. Does a lot of paint schemes that you see on Tuesday nights with the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Very talented painter. Painted Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Diet Mountain Dew car that you see running around on Sundays as well. So there's a lot of paint schemes that he's done. So maybe not as talented on the racetrack tonight, Tony. But right now he's 1 lap down trying to run this thing out.
You know, I always thought Kevin King painted that car. I know Kevin did some of Kevin Harvick's Reese stuff. I know JD has done some different cars. I never knew he did Earnhardt's Diet Mountain Dew car, but I guess you learn something every day. But again, and we've got problems on the racetrack. Caution is out. Back straightaway is where it is, and Ryan Lowe goes by it. Looks like Casey Tucker is going to be the cause for the yellow off turn number 2, the number 6, all by his lonesome, and that's going to ruin what we had going up front. A great battle starting to shape up. Luckily for Casey Tucker, and the Morgan Shuley Memorial Ford did not touch anything. He'll be able to get back rolling, regain his position where he blended in, and head down pit road. But what this does mean, Joe, is we're going to have less than 30 laps to go when we go back green. This has been, as we watch the replay of Casey Tucker over in turns 1 and 2, this is going to be essentially a shootout of about 26, 27 laps to get to the end. Now, instead of being a long run race, we have just turned this into a short run race. And for drivers, as we talked about earlier, like Kenny Humpy, who I think gambled on short runs, this could be exactly what they were looking for.
Oh, this is exactly what they need right now. Expect everybody to come down pit road as soon as it opens to get 4 new tires, a full tank of fuel, or at least just the fuel that they need to get these cars bounced out one more time and get out there and try to run these wheels off of these machines. This is going to be the definitive pit stop you're about to see in just one moment. Justin Bolton will lead him down. Chad Lawton's down there. Michael Luza, Tyler Laughlin, Joe Slammer, the entire field coming down to the attention of their crews.
This is possibly the money stop. This race could go green the rest of the way. Then again, we could see a couple of cautions. This is going to get you some track position, though. Do we see any 2-tire stops to try to gamble and get out in front of the field and gain some track position from somebody in the back that might be trying to pick up a couple of spots? Bolton's going to come down, and he is going to take the right sides, at least on the number 3. Does he decide to take 4 tires from the lead position? I believe he will here. 4 tires on the 3 of Justin Bolton. Here comes the field, and it will be the 3 car of Justin Bolton beating the 2 car off of pit road. So the 2 car picked up a spot there or two, Tony?
Yes, Luza did pick up a spot. In fact, Tyler Laughlin picked up a spot. The big loser on that round of stops was Chad Lawton. He came in 2nd, came out 4th. Not good for Chad Lawton, so he's got a couple more guys he is going to have to pass. Also losing a spot was Joe Slamma. He got bypassed by Alan Bowes. And way back in the field, Tyler Hudson, who came in 7th, he's going to come out maybe even outside the top 10. So horrible, horrible set of stops for a couple of guys. But the good news is they get a chance to regroup, and now they get a chance to get as much as they can on a restart, Joe, that I think many drivers are going to welcome, because now it puts them on even footing, especially if they're further towards the front of the field and they've driven their way forward. Now they can see the leader. Now they smell blood. How much does this change the outcome of the race?
This changes the outcome entirely, because as we've seen before, and we know just from watching races over and over again here in iRacing, cautions breed cautions. So don't expect this to be the only caution race you see tonight. This is going to be one of probably a few more that we're going to see here, come out.
We've got another Twitter question here, and it's I'm not sure the username. We're going to get that from Ian Bushing, but Christopher Steve 517 asks what our favorite tracks are to watch in iRacing in real life. Tony, you know me, I'm a short track guy. I got to go to New Smyrna a couple of weeks ago to watch the World Series of Asphalt. Love that racetrack, not only in real life but also on iRacing as well. I'm going to go with New Smyrna Speedway.
Tim, I have to echo your sentiments. New Smyrna's fun, not only to watch, but to drive in this sim. Absolutely great. Me, I'm a short tracker at heart, too. Now, mind you, I also like a lot of the road course races. Maybe not so much to watch them on iRacing Live, but to compete with some of the road courses they have here on iRacing. With Spa, they're working on Nürburgring right now. They're working on Monza that's coming out. There's so many great road courses. Heck, VIR is fun. I almost ran a chump car race there a few months ago, and I sat and did laps and laps at VIR to get ready for that race. Fun, fun, fun. But as far as the broadcast, again, back to short tracks. I'm a short track man at heart. And being born in Bristol, Tennessee, calling that my original hometown, as always, Bristol Motor Speedway. You cannot go wrong with the high banks of Bristol, Joe.
I suppose you got something there. I do love short tracks. I love watching Martindale in real life. But I think my favorite track of all to watch is the one that's only a few hours away from my hometown here in Central Ohio, and that is Kentucky Speedway. Just because it's a very varied track, it's a very bumpy track, it's a very difficult track to master. It's one of those things you really have to have skill in order to conquer that 1.5 miles. Be sure to follow us all on Twitter. We're using the hashtag iRacingNight tonight to ask our questions, engage with us online, and of course, follow us on Twitter. I'm Joe Cortez on Twitter. Tim Terry is Tim Terry0, and Tony Stevens, T Stevens 92. Be sure to follow us all on Twitter for more fun and games as we continue this long iRacing season.
These guys are about to follow down a restart here. We're getting ready to go back to green. It's Ryan Luza and Justin Bolton on the front row. T-Loff and Chad Lawton in row number 2. There's 4 quick race cars. Could very well win this thing. Alan Bowes, Joe Slamma, going to try to upset the apple cart in front of this field. Pace car is going to peel off here. Justin Bolton in command of this field, and he is gone. Green flag flies, and we're back underway. Luza quickly to the inside as the 5 and the 15 try to figure out what lane they want to run. Top 2 single file. Everybody else fighting for 3rd.
Wow, look at Lawton trying to give a shove to Luza over in turn number 1. Not quite able to get alongside Luza, but he does get around T-Loff. So move Lawton now up to 3rd. Laughlin back to 4th. Bowes is right there in the middle, and here goes Lawton on the bottom. Lawton, a man possessed. He doesn't care whose fenders he crumples up. He'll try to move ahead of Luza and do so off turn number 4, but it's going to stack everybody up from 3rd on back. They're side by side for the runner-up spot in turn 1.
The Jokers have been shuffled into the deck, and now we're seeing them dealt out here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 25 left to go at this juncture. Bolton up ahead. Lawton now fighting off Luza. Tyler Laughlin back there as well. And we got trouble. The 17 of Matt Wright gets shoved down into the infield by Steven Zenzi. Now they're the 17 goes sideways. The 17 could be in trouble. Able to save it? Yes, he is. But that's going to cost Matt Wright a lot of positions.
That was a hell of a save right there by that 17, and the rest of the field around him to try to avoid a possible caution flag. That was a great move by those drivers, but it has strung out some of the field there, Tony. That was 2 and 3 deep. It's about single file through about your top 10. Everybody else behind trying to figure out a spot to run. Chad Lawton in second, Ryan Luza third, T-Loff in fourth, and they have a little bit of a gap, about 3/10 or so between themselves and Joe Slamma, who currently runs in position number 5 back there. But Justin Bolton, he's clear of all this mess. He's up by about 5 car lengths on the 5 of Chad Lawton, but we still have 22 laps to go this time.
Watch the replay here as well as we keep an eye up front, Tim. The number 17 up right, and it all started with Shane Doherty in the number 14, and you can see exactly what transpired over there in turns 3 and 4. What a save though by Matthew Wright. Any other driver, I think, would have lost that race car. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but Matthew Wright, man, that was impressive. I don't care who you are. That was simply a wheelman's job right there. As further back in the field, things are getting a little crazy from about, 13th, 14th on back. Casey Tucker, Blade Witt. There's a whole gaggle of cars back there running 2, 3, sometimes even thinking about 4 wide. And that's where the next hornet's nest is going to come out of, Joe. And they've tried a few times here as we close in on 20 laps to go.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they try a few more times on this field. Bolton remains up front. Lawton, Luza, Laughlin, second, third, and fourth. These guys are stacked up, nose to tail all the way through. And I've got a feeling as we get close to 20 laps to go, guys, we're not done seeing some bold moves. In fact, we're seeing Kenny Humpy make a bold move right now. The 11 car underneath the 13 of Alan Bowes. Score, Kenny Humpy, position number 6.
Humpy moving back up, and that is what he needed. He needed a caution flag in order to have a shot at winning this race after almost losing it in the first run, coming to the green flag pit stops. He makes that move on Alan Bowes, moves up to position number 6. Next up on the list is Joe Slamma in the number 22, about 4 or 5 car lengths ahead of the 11 of Kenny Humpy. 0.3 of a second, Bolton back to Lawton. Lawton continues to lead the train of Luza and Laughlin. And then it's back to the Slamma, Humpy, Bowes battle. Tyler Hudson's back there, and Tony, I don't know if I don't want to say they missed the setup because they're still running in the top 10, but we're used to seeing Tyler Hudson a little closer to the front of the field, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, or former NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, running right now all by himself in P8. I'm not sure if they missed the setup or there's something just not completely right on that race car.
Well, Tim, what you've got to remember, this is a completely different race car. Again, this is a NASCAR Chevy Camaro, not the NASCAR Chevy SS, or in the case of Tyler Hudson, a lot of times he runs the Ford Fusion in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. This is a Chevy Camaro he's in right now. So some different cars, different handling, and it's kind of like Jimmy Johnson. I know it's a bad example, but Jimmy Johnson was mediocre in a Xfinity Series car at best during his career. You put him in a Hendrick or a JR Motorsports Xfinity car now, he still does okay, but he doesn't necessarily set the world on fire. Put him in a Sprint Cup car, by golly, watch out, he's the man to beat. Some drivers and their driving styles just suit different cars better and vice versa. Tyler Hudson, he's fast, he's good, his racecraft is nearly impeccable, but sometimes the cars just aren't quite suited to certain drivers over another, and it's that little bit sometimes that makes all the difference, Joe.
3 wide temporarily towards the back of the field around the 12 of Blake Bryan. Now they're going to go 2 wide as the 23 and 21 continue to do business. The 12's going to get bumped in the wall. 21's going to go around.
Oh, here we go.
9's involved. And now those things bring out the caution flag for the second time. Maybe no. Steven Zenzi's going to go down on the infield. The 21 of J.D. Laird will join him down there. No caution, though, on the field as these two collect themselves and get back on the track.
Yeah, they get back on the racetrack. They spun to the apron, so there's no caution flag out on the speedway. We continue to run green on lap number 85. The leaders run down the back straightaway, this time by 15 laps to go. And I think the 2 car of Ryan Luza looks a little bit racy right now, Tony. He was up on the number 5 of Chad Lawton for position number 2. Did not make a move, but it looks like the 2 car maybe flipping the switch. He's very good in these Class B cars. He's very good in the Class A car as well, and he's going to be one to watch in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series at the end of this calendar year. But right now, he's got to try to get past the 5 as you see the replay of the spin with Azeni and J.D. Laird.
And, of course, those guys, again, out of harm's way, didn't hit anything. And yeah, a couple guys maybe had to check up, but being on the apron, out of the way, Caution flag did not come out, so we continue green flag circulation here at Vegas. And Tim, up front, yeah, I'm looking at Luza, I'm looking at Lawton and Laughlin. They're all looking racy, and even Kenny Humpy trying to reel those guys in. We speculated Humpy might have a short run setup, or at least a setup that he can make work better on a shorter run. That certainly seems to be the case, as he has scored in 5th, trying to close in. He's trying to drag Slamma and Bose, Hudson all up there with him. Certainly not something the leaders want to see, but Bolton has got his hands full, Joe, and slowly but surely, Chad Lawton has been just inching away at that lead. And by inching, I mean inching, couple thousandths a lap, maybe a couple hundredths every lap. That time by at the stripe, officially, one of the smallest gaps we have seen in this run. 197 thousandths of a second, less than 2/10 of a second from front bumper to front bumper, from Bolton to Lawton. I think Chad Lawton might be starting to lower the boom.
If you're going to lower the boom, now's the time to do it. We've got 13 to go, 12 when they cross the start-finish line in Georgia right now, as they did. 12 now laps to go here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And if you're going to start making some moves, if you want to roll the dice, play the cards, hit the slot machine, whatever it is you do in Vegas, now is the time to do it. They don't have time. They have tires. They have the tires, but they don't have the time, so they're just going to do whatever it is they're going to do, and they're going to have to see how it all ends. If you need to leave some of the track, do it now, because frankly, guys, what have you got to lose?
You have what you have in that race car right now. If a caution was to come out right now, it would be a gamble to come down pit road, and it would be interesting to see a caution right now, but it looks like this race may very well play out green to the end of it. We have 10.5 laps to go. Justin Bolton continues to lead. The lead has fluctuated a little bit, but Chad Lawton's got about a car length between himself and the 3 of Bolton as they go down into corner number 3. They will come up on a lapped car. That might be a Zenny in front of them. Indeed it is. The number 9 car will go 1 lap down here in just a few moments' time. Bolton has company, though. The 5 of Chad Lawton trying to pull it off and pull something off at the end of this race to walk away with a victory. The 9 goes low. The 3 is going to have to go high.
This might be a pick opportunity for Lawton, but looks like Azinyi going to go right to the bottom, out of the way. Classy move by Steve Azinyi to get out of the way of the leaders. He knows his race is over. And look at Lawton now in turn 3. He's going to go upstairs in the second groove. Harry Gant would be proud of Chad Lawton. Nothing there yet, but he'll get the run down the front straightaway. Chad Lawton looks like he realizes he's going to have to make it work to get around Justin Bolton. And with 9 laps to go, Joe, you're now flirting with the possibility of a caution flag coming out, eliminating any shot you have at a finish. So you really have to go now or go home, because there is no green-white checker yet in the iRacing software. And that means for Chad Lawton, if it gets to be 5 to go, one mistake by another driver could end his night in the second spot.
This is where the rubber meets the road, literally and metaphorically. 8 laps to go at this juncture, and it's still anybody's race. Bolton and Lawton, nose to tail. And for both these drivers, this is critical learning time. What they will learn here tonight will directly apply to the race that will run in 1 week's time in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series right here on iRacing Live and FansChoice.tv. These guys doing everything they can, hoping to pick up that good momentum and hoping to learn something critical for the race as they cross the start-finish line. 7 to go. Bolton, Lawton still for a second.
And the 2 is there as well. Ryan Luza, only a couple of car lengths back from this battle, and Teloff could play spoiler in this one. He lost a heartbreaker last week at the Daytona International Speedway, trying to make it a little bit better. Tony, it won't make it better when it comes to the point situation or the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, but Tyler Laughlin trying to bring something up to the front of the field as we see a battle with the 24 car, I believe, side by side. That's Keith Plaza. That's back in the field with the 6 and the 18. And that is back there around 13th position as they try to pick up a couple of positions at the end of this one. 6 laps to go.
Yeah, Casey Tucker, remember, brought out the most recent caution flag. Didn't hit anything, but he has been mired back there right on the backside of the top 15 as we keep our eyes peeled up front. Lawton, Bolton, battle of the night, and Luza is right there waiting for someone to make a mistake. He's looking to pounce if that were to happen. Across the stripe, 5 laps to go. Now we're within the window, Joe. If the yellow comes out, this race is over. Bolton, Lawton, everybody is aware of that. and they are driving like their lives depend on it. Already Bolton starting to go lower and lower in turn number one, trying to block, I think, any advances of Chad Lawton. But it seems like the middle is kind of the preferred lane in turns 1 and 2. Makes you wonder if Lawton is maybe lulling Bolton into a false sense of security, forcing him to go down there, and eventually, late in the race, he's going to make a move to the outside to try to pass.
He's going to be forced to here real quick to figure out what he wants to do. With only 3 laps to go when they come back to the start-finish line, they don't have any time. If you're going to make that big move, now is the time to do it into turns 3 and 4. 3 and 5 still nose to tail. Everyone else in the top 5 all nose to tail. This could be the finishing order right here. Maybe.
And they've lost the 2 of Ryan Luza. Luza has fallen back a little bit off this pace. T-Loff has as well. The 3 and the 5 have stepped it up a little bit. Justin Bolton and Chad Lawton, they know when to turn on that afterburner per se and kick it up another notch. JD Laird goes 1 lap down here, and he will fall behind the leaders in position at number 23. He's looking to put something together, I'm sure, for next week's race in this Class B series. We'll come by this time, Tony, 2 to go.
And here comes Lawton, looking, stalking, trying to find any weakness in Justin Bolton. He's been getting that run off turn 4, but backing the car up into turn number 1, allowing Bolton to get a run on the entry. But then Lawton seizes the opportunity on exit. He's able to close in. He peaks to the bottom down the back straightaway. Nothing there yet as they work through turns 3 and 4 for the penultimate time. Joe, the white flag is out this time. Lawton's got to make the move now.
This is going to be the race to end the race, guys, as we continue to run. White flag officially across the start-finish line. Lawton, Bolton, nose to tail into turns 1 and 2. This could be the critical moment for Chad Lawton, continuing to stalk on the back bumper of Justin Bolton. Can't make up the time, though, as they go to the backstretch, Tim.
He's got one more opportunity through 3 and 4 to make this happen. Chad Lawton in the 5 trying to make the move on Justin Bolton. Bolton has a beautiful corner entry. Lawton tries to go upstairs. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum, and Bolton drives it off corner number 4, and the 5 in the fence. Checkered flag for Justin Bolton in the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series Open. Lawton second, T-Loff in third. Where did Ryan Luza go? Ryan Luza not scored at the end of this one, guys. Humpy Slamma, top 5.
Wow. If it goes from bad, it went to worse for Ryan Luza. Inside the top 5, and then an electrical issue last lap puts him 1 lap down unofficially in the 22nd spot. What a comeback, too, for Kenny Humpy. He was down in the teens earlier. He recovered to finish 4th. Slamma, Bose, Hudson. Again, a lot of movers and shakers, a lot of comers and goers. Kyle McCormick finished 9th after starting 20th. What a great run here at Las Vegas, Joe, and I know Justin Bolton has got to be thrilled with that. This has got to be a real shot in the arm for the Cody Bias Racing crew, knowing that they've got something maybe that could work for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series here at Las Vegas in 1 week's time.
Well, Cody Bias was watching this race. He shared on Twitter that he was rooting for the Cody Bias Xfinity cars to come up front. Wish came true. And now I think Justin Bolton's got some very good feedback to work off of now as they get ready to do this once again next week in the Cup cars for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Great practice run for Justin Bolton and all of Cody Bias tonight. Let's see if they can do it for real next week.
So we're going to take a look at the last lap here. Justin Bolton goes to victory lane. Chad Lawton gave it an effort because he got into the fence as he came out of corner number 4 trying to make it happen. We're going to step away for just a few moments' time, and we will be back with the post-race show where we'll talk to as many of the top 5 finishers as we can. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
has officially begun.
On the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back here to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We just saw an absolutely outstanding NASCAR iRacing.com Class B Open Series race here in Sin City, and Justin Bolton put on a clinic with Chad Lawton all over his back bumper. And you know, you could be a part of the action too. Don't forget this promo code right here on the screen. You enter that, and guess what? You can get one heck of a deal to get started in iRacing. It is the next best thing to actually owning a race car yourself. In fact, you might catch the bug and decide to go buy a race car yourself once you get involved with iRacing. So sign up, come join us. You never know. In a few weeks' time, you could be joining us here on the NASCAR iRacing.com B-Class Series broadcast on PSR TV and FansChoice.tv. Before we go down to Tim Terry, Joe, it was a fun race tonight, no doubt. Went by very quickly. How many of the Peaky Antifreeze Series guys do you think watch this race so that next Tuesday night, when they're on live here, same time, same channel, they can make that same performance happen?
Well, I think what you saw tonight was a lot of guys trying different things, trying new things out there, and whoever wasn't in the race tonight from the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, those are the guys that were watching tonight's race, and those are the guys who are going to be taking notes to not only see what they need to do to win, to roll the dice to win next week, Tony, but also to see what their competition is going to be bringing to the table. This is a precursor race to that race, and if anything is certain, past performance predicts future returns. So a lot of those guys looking tonight to see what past performance brought tonight to know what they got to bring to the track next week.
And I think the way this race played out, the trends certainly were something maybe that they didn't exactly expect. As we mentioned, a lot of times you get early cautions and you get a cluster of late cautions sometimes. Didn't quite happen. Only 2 yellows tonight in the NASCAR Class B Open Series, very like the Xfinity Series, if you will, here on iRacing. So a very clean race, very quick race, and very good race up front. The guy that ended up in victory lane, well, he's standing by with Tim Terry, and that's none other than Greensburg, Pennsylvania's Justin Bolton. Tim?
And Justin Bolton qualified up front, stayed up front for a majority of the night, and comes home in victory lane. Justin, let's talk about that finish, because Chad Lawton was coming for you at the end. Looks like he ran out of real estate behind you.
Yeah, Chad was definitely a lot faster. Those guys, Kenny and himself, with working with Jared and Greg and Manning and all those guys, you know, they do a great job on these cars, and you know they're always going to be the fastest when it comes to the B car by quite a bit. But it really just came down to track position at the end there. You know, with me starting in first for that last restart, I was able to get away by half second or so and try and save my stuff in case we had a late caution. And tried to save as much as I could until Chad got there, and then I really had to go. Whereas he had to go the whole time, and used up his stuff a little bit more than I did there. But like I said, they were a lot faster, and we learned some things for the next time we use these cars. had to do a little bit of an adjustment where I don't know if it so much helped the car, but just made it less comfortable to drive. Helped it on the timesheet, but like I said, made it less comfortable to drive. So that's something we'll take to maybe 2 weeks down the road when we don't have the peak race on Tuesday. But as of learning stuff for next week here at Vegas, there's really not much we can take from these cars to the Cup car. But as to how the race is going to play out with long green flag runs and green flag pit stops, that's something we can take.
We mentioned earlier, this series runs every 2 hours, or runs races every 2 hours, the Class B series. You ran a race earlier today. How much did that help you? You mentioned strategy. How much did that help you with strategy and really how to set up for this race, albeit different players, different drivers in the field? How did it help you set up with setup and strategy?
Yeah, really just getting more laps under my belt to help with tire conservation and all that stuff. Because it's so big in these cars, being momentum cars, and having the less horsepower. So you kind of got to keep the momentum up and make sure you don't kill the right front, because you definitely aren't going to kill the right rear with the lower horsepower and about the same weight as a Cup car. But like I said, just keeping tires on it, and pit stops, that always helps. But other than that, there's really not much you can take race to race. You kind of got to play it as it is with different people, and whenever the cautions fall and stuff like that. But we had a pretty decent car. Like I said, Chad and everyone on the team over there was better, but we were able to keep the track position and see what we could do there.
This is iRacing night on fanschoice.tv. We're obviously racing the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series next week. Are we going to see you run this NASCAR iRacing Class B Series Open? Are we going to see you just focus on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series? What's your plan going forward here in 2015 on iRacing night on fanschoice.tv?
For the Tuesdays where we don't have the Peak Antifreeze Series, we're probably going to run maybe just a mile and a half, maybe some short tracks down in there. I'm not planning on running the whole series, just, some tracks maybe I need more practice at, or if we want to try something setup-wise. But not planning on running the whole series as it is right now. I'm going to focus on the Peak Series and working with the Cup car rather than, messing with these B cars. But we're going to do what we can when we can.
And that's Justin Bolton, the winner here this evening on the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series. Cody Bias Racing once again in victory lane on a Tuesday evening. Watch for Justin Bolton in 1 week time. NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Tony Stevens, you caught up with another driver that we're likely going to see next week too.
And that would be Chad Lawton, the driver of the number 5 here tonight in this particular race. And Chad, almost. And I know it only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and at certain games back on the strip here at Vegas. What was the difference between you finishing second and you getting around Justin Bolton? Was it simply track position, or was there maybe something else to the race car that you could have had done differently to maybe make that difference up?
I would say it's mostly track position. This track is really hard to pass. As you guys noticed, you can run the middle of the groove and around 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then any time you got to that white line, that left front, there was bumps would pretty much shove your nose up the track. So, I mean, Bolton was fast as it is. I'm not going to say it was just track position, but I didn't qualify. A few of them did, and they kind of was able to keep the car clean and not overuse their tires, and I just fell a little bit short. But I want to congratulate Bolton on that win, and I mean, he was really consistent. I think those last 20-25 laps. So whether I come out at pit road second or where I did in fourth, I think we would have seen the same result.
Now, a lot of guys will sit here and maybe criticize, let's say, some of these higher tier drivers like yourself that come down and run these other classes, whether it be the street stock, the Legends car, the Class B Series, Class A, anything in between. Why do you do it? Do you learn something? Is it simply keeping yourself sharp? What's the logic behind running a Class B Series race like tonight and in between, say, all the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series 4As?
For me, my team enjoys the B car. It's something we've always did. This was the first car I actually went for some type of championship in iRacing when I first joined the service. A lot of the people on my team, Ryan Manning, Jared Crawford, are big fans of the B car as well as I am. I like to use the B. Mostly, I like to run the B car because we can get away from the top tier drivers and we can enjoy racing instead of having to practice hours upon hours to be competitive. Here, we just we put in a little bit of work and we're able to be competitive and have fun racing with the people on my team. Other than that, I can say that just with any game or any simulation or any game, the more you play, the more repetitive you are, the better you'll get. And that's what I look at the B car. You can't really correlate the A car and the B car setup wise. There really nothing's really the same. But definitely as many laps as you can put in any car and on any track will definitely make you better. It also help your racecraft.
Well, Chad, I think you probably are onto something there. It seems to have made you pretty doggone good so far here tonight. Congratulations on the second place finish, and we look forward to seeing you in just 1 week's time here again at Las Vegas in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Joe Cortez has caught up with another driver who, well, for the second week in a row, is making some TV time here on PSR TV. But, Joe, this week it's for better reasons than last.
Tyler Laughlin makes it a 1-3 finish for Cody Bias Racing here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And Tyler, good run there at the end. What was the secret to getting this Xfinity car up to third place?
I've put in a lot of laps before the race, trying to get solid long green flag runs in because I knew we were going to have green flag runs all race long. But my setup was a little bit off from what my teammates were running because I was running what I had. I thought it was going to be better, but it ended up costing me in the long run. But the car handled really good on short run speed, got past a lot of cars. I want to apologize to Trent Ringler there at the start. I got into him in one of the opening laps there when I was passing the first couple cars, but I settled into about fourth place, and I was sitting there about most of the race. I couldn't really do anything with the front guys, and the guys behind me were so far back. I just kind of settled in right there.
You certainly found a way to settle in, though, and third place isn't bad. Let me ask you this. What from this experience tonight, what are you going to take away from this race to apply to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing race in just 1 week's time here at Las Vegas?
No doubt saving the right front tire. I had a lot of trouble the very first run. I hit like a wall, like a cliff about 30 laps in that first run, and the right front was just dead. And I'm going to try to figure out a way to save my right front tire better going into the Cup car because it drives kind of the same, just 20 miles an hour faster. I mean, how you drive the corners are the same. So I'm going to try to take that and use it in the Peak Series next week.
Real quick, how critical are tires going to be next week?
They're going to be critical. We've been working pretty hard trying to figure out our tire wear because we already know Vegas is prone to long green flag runs, and I think whoever has the long run setup at the end is going to be the victor next week.
Tyler Laughlin finishes third in his Cody Bias Racing entry. We'll see how well he can manage the tires next week at the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Let's go back to Tim Terry.
And I've caught up with Alan Bowes, who's finished in position number 6 here this evening. Alan, a very exciting race here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway and a lot of green flag racing. Talk about your run up to 6th place.
Well, we had a pretty good qualifying run and started up around 7th. Pretty happy with that. I messed up early in the race and managed to hit the wall. And I thought I was done. I had right side damage. And and somehow my car was good enough to come back on the long run. It was absolutely incredible. Couldn't thank the guys over at Fastlane enough for putting it together because it was one of the best long run cars I've ever driven.
You talk about that long run. We saw a lot of green flag racing in this event. Is it something that you guys anticipated when we started here this evening, or did you bank on a few cautions, especially in the first half of that race?
I expected some green flag racing. I wasn't necessarily expecting that long. Like, we only had one caution, I think. So that was a surprise. I was expecting maybe 2 or 3, but it was just overall good racing by everybody.
Now, looking forward to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series coming up in 1 week time. We're back at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. How is your prep and your team's prep gone for that race so far?
Well, I'm hoping it's good, but some of these guys up there in that series, it's just the stuff that they're able to build is just incredible. I don't know how we'll be able to stand with everybody, but right now I'd have to say it's going pretty well.
And there's Alan Bowes coming home in position number 6 here this evening. The way he ran this evening, gentlemen, he is going to be one to watch coming up in that whole fast lane team at the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race coming up here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in 1 week time. Lots of green flag racing here this evening. We saw some familiar names up in front. We saw Bolton, we saw Lawton, we saw Laughlin, Kenny Humpy, Alan Bowes, Tyler Hudson, Shane Doherty. Those names we're accustomed to seeing every Tuesday night or every second Tuesday night on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. And it looks like this NASCAR iRacing Class B Series, these guys that are running for the championship, albeit 33 races, 5 drops, we're only 3 rounds in. I think we're going to have some competition this season. It's going to be interesting to watch and see who comes out on top. Then you're going to have those guys that spend a lot of time with these B-class cars, these Xfinity cars, I'm sure, throughout the season, rise to the top when it comes to this series. And when you look at the races coming up, it follows the Xfinity schedule. So they go to Phoenix, they go to Auto Club Speedway in the next 2 weeks, Texas, Bristol, the rest of the field, and you're going to be able to follow along here every second Tuesday on fanschoice.tv with iRacing Night. Be sure to hashtag it. We're going to be following along all season long. We're going to go back downstairs to the studio to close out this show with Tony Stevens and Joe Cortez.
Thanks, Tim. Great hearing your thoughts, of course. And Las Vegas always is a very interesting race for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series and, of course, the NASCAR iRacing.com B-Class Open Series, or the Xfinity Series, if you will, here tonight. And we proved just that. Great racing, a lot of packs throughout the field, and certainly was very fun to watch, no doubt. And look forward to next week with the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series as well. And, Joe, I'm telling you, I'm about ready to bolt up the wheel when we get out of the studio here and go run some laps. This really gets me stoked to go run some laps on iRacing. It's been quite a while for me trying to get things in the off-season ready for broadcasts and physical racing world, the NASCAR schedule. But, man, this just really gives you the itch. I'm about ready to bolt up the wheel here tonight and get racing because, as our fans have seen tonight, this is fun stuff.
And for anybody who's going to race against Tony Stevens tonight, I vehemently apologize on behalf of the entire PSR crew. Tonight was a really fun event. Tonight we really saw the up-and-coming talent of the Xfinity Series, the B-Class Series, come to life here. And what's really exciting to me is you're going to see a preview every single Tuesday night of what's coming up in iRacing. What's the next best thing? What people are we watching? This is really going to be the proving ground for the next up-and-coming NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series stars. And this is really cool, which is really fun. Plus, it's a preview of what you're going to see when the gloves come off the next week in the circuit. Tony, get ready for a lot of fun. And, you know, if you want to be like my friend here, Tony, and jump in one of these cars yourself, you can do it too. Just go to iRacing.com, use our promo code 2015-PSRTV. It's down there on your screen right now. You buy 1 month, you get 2 free, plus you get the late model car as well. Tony, it's one of your favorites.
Oh, absolutely, Joe. It really is. I love the late model, love the super late model. As we said, any of the short track stuff, certainly a fan. And about ready to go hop in one of those here in just a little bit. I might just go hop in a Legends car and go run the quarter mile at Charlotte. I really don't know.
Something you know well.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you're right. I do know it quite well, and that's a whole different story. But you know what? Love iRacing. Love what it has to offer. And, of course, Joe, this is just night number 2. We're going to be using the hashtag iRacing Night all season long on Twitter. So get your friends, your family, your team, your whoever involved, and tweet to us, hashtag iRacing Night. And if you want to tag us specifically, I'm TStevens92. He is Joe Cortez, and Tim, wherever he is at Tim Terry, the number 0. You can get a hold of all of us, and of course, you can also tag us at PSR TV and at Fans Choice TV as well. Any of those can get a hold of us here on any of the iRacing nights, and for that matter, anytime throughout the year. So glad you could join us for night number 2. The NASCAR iRacing.com B-Class Series will be in action again at Auto Club Speedway in just a couple of weeks' time, right here on these same sites you're watching us on tonight. But next week at 8:45 p.m. is the pre-race show. 9 p.m. we get ready to hit the track, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series from here in Las Vegas. You do not want to miss it to see if, in fact, Ray Alfalla can make it 2 in a row and continue his quest for an unprecedented 3rd Series championship. On behalf of Tim Terry, Joe Cortez, the entire PSR TV organization, Fans Choice iRacing, and all the people we have partnerships with, my name's Tony Stevens, saying we'll see you next time here 1 week on iRacing Night on Fans Choice and iRacing Live. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself, and they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.